Good morning, everybody. I'm going to go ahead and get started. Some more people might come on, but we definitely have a packed agenda today, so I want to start sooner than later. So today we have our Los Angeles Marketo user group webinar event, and the topic today is from visitors to customers tracking the buyer's journey in Marketo and Salesforce. I'm Kim Bodemar, the Los Angeles Marketo user group leader, and work alongside Daryl Alfonso, who helps me as a co-leader, and together we like to run both virtual and in-person events for our user group. So for today, we just want to welcome everybody here, all of our LA Mug members, and thanks for joining us. We have a lot of people who might be on, also not registered as members yet, because we have put out some promotions to the surrounding area, and hope that you'll join us as members as well and get to be a part of these great events. Also want to make a quick announcement. I'm sure you're aware, Marketing Nation Summit is coming up in just a month from today. So this sort of marks the day of let's start getting ready. I know we're starting to put out some promotions and have a couple fun events that we'd like to plan as a user group at Summit, and you'll want to check out some of the other fun speakers. I know Lindsay Vaughn will be there as a guest speaker, and so hope that you're all registered and ready to go. We'll jump right in now to the speakers sharing their insights on attribution, and following that we have a special announcement and presentation from Marketo about their certification programs, and so I'll introduce a special speaker at a later time for that. Then we'll end with some Q&A if we have time. If we don't have a lot of time for that, we'll be following up with questions after the webinar, depending on how timing goes, because we decided to pack some really great stuff in today. So our attribution speakers today are Allison Rouse and Prash Shenoy, who are going to share some insights for tracking journeys against opportunities, tracking revenues against expenditures, and extracting multi-touch attribution metrics. So this morning, we'll let Prash kick us off. And Prash is a marketing technologist and ABM expert with extensive technical experience. So today he's going to be our opener into the attribution topic and how companies can best track their buyers' journeys. So Prash, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Yeah. Thanks, Kim, and welcome everyone. Pretty excited to be part of this webinar and to share some of the marketing attribution setup as well as insights. So first, let's dive into the definition, right? Everyone has different flavors. So for this, we'll take the marketing attribution as a measure of the impact of marketing campaigns and also the channels and events that have on the revenue by assigning the credit to all successful marketing touches, starting from the lead acquisition till the opportunity closes. And here are some benefits of attribution. With attribution, you can get better insight of the entire customer journey. And also, like, you can get a little bit more insight into channels and campaigns that work or that perform well for the marketing, and also get a lot more visibility into funnel dynamics in terms of which funnel stages the leads are there, and also which campaign is moving the leads from one stage to another, and also where to put the next marketing dollars, which can move the leads through the funnel, and also helps you to accurately attribute the final revenue back into the different channels or marketing programs. And finally, like I said, with the rest of the things, it helps a marketing team to make a lot more better educated decisions when it comes to budget and next programs to fund. So with that, be attribution model benefits. We also like attribution benefits. We also have multiple attribution models available to us. Usually, customer journey is never a straight line. It's almost like a scenic route. It has multiple vista points which add value to the customer's engagement and also for the marketing team. And with multiple touches across various channel and program, it becomes pretty complex to map each one of these the journey of the customer and also attribute back what is the value of each of those programs to figure out what is the attribution which finally counts for the revenue. And each of these touch points is a lot more complex with multiple channels marketing team uses today. No, it's also very data intensive. We need to have the right data from the right programs and in the right format. And with that, we'll look into multiple attribution model. So usually there are three different models which marketing team uses, from a simple single touch to a more advanced and sophisticated multi-touch model. To start with the simple one, we'll look at the single touch model. In this model, what we do is we assign credit to just one touch point. That's either the initial touch point or the last touch point. In the first the touch model, what we are doing is we are looking at what is this first touch point or the engagement which brought the lead into the system, right? It's more like an acquisition of that lead or the first engagement of the lead. And that gets the entire credit when that lead becomes a customer. So this is almost like making giving 100% credit to the initial engagement. And it's pretty easy to set up because all we need is the initial source, lead source, as well as the details which this lead came in through. And most of the companies, a marketing team who has a marketing attribution model setup usually has one of the single touch model, which whether it's a first touch or the last touch. The advantage of this is it's pretty easy to implement, not much complex model or analytics needed. All we need is the couple of data points on the first touch of the lead source, and also uh, getting the data back into the either both any marketing automation system or CRM, passing that along with the lead, and you can find the attribution reports based on that. The main drawback on this is, like it says, it's a first touch. So what happens is you get only the visibility into the first touch of the engagement of the lead, but fails to recognize rest of the marketing initiative and influence of other programs. Similarly to single touch, we can also look at the first touch. We can also look at the last touch. This is similar to first touch, but it's looking at the last engagement point with that lead or the prospect before the lead becomes an opportunity or the opportunity closes. So in this case, we are giving the entire credit to the last engagement that lead had with the marketing program. And the the easy part of this model is it's similar to first touch, easy to implement, but again, it doesn't account the rest of the touches the marketing has done throughout the life cycle of that lead. Now going to a little bit more complex one. That's the last one, which is multi-touch attribution. In this model, what we do is we look at all the touches, the marketing programs and the different channels, and give credit to all of them from the beginning till the end. So which means that the initial program which brought the lead in gets the credit, as well as the last touch, as well as all the in between. It could be a webinar, it could be a newsletter, it could be the Facebook ad, anything which went to make this customer's journey a success from beginning till end gets a credit. The complexity in this is like how granular you want to attribute different programs throughout the journey. One of there are multiple flavors to this. Like some people would like to have more like a U-shape or a tub-shaped model in which the first touch and the last touch gets maximum credit, and the in between touches gets a lesser credit. Something like 40% to the first touch, 40% to the final touch, and 20% to the rest of the in between touches. Or you can have much more weighted averages to different channels and make this model much more complex, but also much more meaningful and insightful, so that it can help really give the credit to the right program, and also help the attribution model to be much more complete. The drawback of this is pretty complex implementation, and the data required for this is a lot more intensive, and also it's not one system can help to bring all the multi-touch attribution. It's a combination of both the marketing automation system and the CRM, as well as multiple other applications available today in market, something like the full circle or lean data. All these multiple products have an attribution model which helps to generate different flavors of it, and also add a customizable model which can help each of the business. Now we have looked at all the different models, right? For this to work, we still need the data as well as where the data is coming from. So these are the three different pillars which helps to build that the data as well as the insights for attribution. One is the initial one is the lead data itself from the person, the source, the lead source, or the content with which the lead has engaged with, which most of the marketing team is successful in capturing it. And also the campaigns which we're running to get those ones. So it's a pretty lot of time people ignore the campaigns, but it's one of the most insightful as well as much more meaningful for attribution, because we can have different campaigns for each programs of each initiative, and it can drive additional data points. And along with that, the third one, which is much more critical to get a lot more insights when you are doing multi-touch attribution, is also UTMs. Through either you can do Google UTM, and also the URLs with the right UTM format can help the right data to be brought into the system and can be tagged with different touch points, and it can give additional insight for each of the different models, or within each model you can get at different touch points what is the source medium, as well as the campaigns which attributed to that point in the customer's journey. So like the first touch and last touch, usually like if you have a lead source and lead source detail, content, assets, it's much easier like to get the first touch or the last touch attribution. It's because it's always a single point of data. But when you have to do multi-touch, then the lead source, which is the initial lead source or the last lead source, would not help. In that case, the campaigns data is much more helpful, as well as gives better insight. And to get all these different pillars set up, we also need the data to support that. And these are some of the critical attribution field, which is a must if you want to have any successful model in place. First is the source and content, right? For if you want to get the lead source, and lead source detail, asset, and what is the asset details. These four fields, you can have it as for the initial touch as well as the recent or the last touch. So you can have the initial lead source as well as the last resource or the recent lead source, which gives you the first and the recent touch point of this lead source. And similarly with UTMs, we have 5 UTM fields. I've seen people just use 5 of this, but also it's also more insightful as well as more uh, helpful in building a complex attribution model if you can also have the both recent as well as the first UTM source which brought in that lead. So altogether you have around like you have like 8 lead source and lead source detail uh, fields and the 5 UTMs with and if you add the recent and the first one, it will have you will get another 5 more. So total of 18 fields, which is critical for building a complete end-to-end attribution model. And Marketo supports all of this. You can create all the leads, have them as a hidden fields within the forms, web forms, which helps to get the right fields into the system. And also usually the best practice is lead source, keep it as a pick list value. So it's much more standardized bucket. And then lead source detail would be more a text field, which gives you a flexibility to add additional details as you move forward. Similarly, for asset and asset details, asset could be a lot more a pick list value, which standardizes the reports, and then asset details can be a text field, which helps to add additional details for each asset. Now, with all this setup, right, we have the fields, right fields in place. We have all the different pillars in place. We know, okay, we have the lead source, asset information, content information. We know all the models, all the campaigns being set up. We have the UTMs, the right UTMs, the setup. Now, with all that, what is the next step, right? These are the 5 steps which helps to build that entire attribution setup within the system, which is both marketing automation and CRM. And one of the initial foundation is the funnel stages. Without funnel stages, without funnel stages being set up initially, it's very difficult to really attribute to different sections, and especially and also to align with sales. So having a definite well-defined funnel stages and also aligning with sales helps to attribute different touch points into the funnels, and from the marketing funnel till the sales path of the funnel. And also setting up both marketing automation system and CRM in sync helps to have the data consistency across these two systems, and also helps to have the data standardized. The pick list and values in Marketo must match in CRM so that when the data is transferred or it's synced, there's no conflict. And also it's more important to identify and enter all the cost data for each programs or campaigns, either in the CRM or in a marketing automation system. And the fourth one is a little bit of a challenge if you're starting fresh, because you may not know which channel will perform better and what is the goal to be added to that. But it's always nice to have initially, maybe you can have a uh, have an initial goal, but once you run the program, the attribution model, and the second iteration, you can always then set up a right goal for each channel, which you think is much more meaningful and more productive. And finally, like we do A/B testing in a lot of emails and everything, attribution model also we can have a similar uh, model where you can have multiple models set up and see which one gives you much more insightful reports which can drive the marketing initiative. And with that, I think it's just the beginning. Marketing attribution is not just a way to measure marketing impact, but it is actually empowers marketers to make much more strategic decisions on the next initiatives. And also, marketing attribution is essential in running both the successful sales and marketing team, and can help to align and unify the sales, marketing, and executive teams. With that, I think I'll pass to my next speaker, Alison Rose. She is the senior business analyst at Full Circle, and she's seasoned marketing strategist that guides Full Circle customers to create predictable revenue through union of technology and process by implementing, customizing, and optimizing their use of Full Circle products. Before joining Full Circle, Alison also worked with many enterprise companies optimizing their usage of CRM and marketing automation system. With that, welcome, Alison. And
Thank you, Prash. Happy to be joining the webinar today. Very excited to present on this topic. Just before I get started, a little bit of background on Full Circle. So Full Circle, we are a native Salesforce application. The two main things that our product does is track funnel metrics inside of Salesforce. So we're tracking the volume velocity, conversion rates from each of your funnel stages. And then the second part, which I'll be focusing mostly on today, is campaign attribution, both in terms of the different types of models that Prash talked about, single touch models, but also multi-touch models, weighted models, all within Salesforce. So picture it. The year is 2005. I'm in Central Oregon in the lovely resort town of Sun River. I'm a marketing specialist at an electronics company, and I'm attending our annual sales retreat. Sales reps have flown in from all over the country, from all over the world. In fact, this is the first time I've met some of the sales reps from our Belgian office. As a member of the marketing team, this is the event where all of our hard-earned efforts paid off. My role at this event was to ensure that each field rep had a packet full of the latest marketing collateral, each presenter's slide deck was on brand and on message, and that during the evenings, everyone was having a good time, drink in hand. As a marketer in 2005, planning events like this one was a big part of my day-to-day. Many of our colleagues throughout the organization saw us as the creative department, holding mostly this arts and crafts type of function. But of course, and I'm sure many of you are familiar with this story, as time moved on, our customers relied less on our sales team to educate them about our products and started doing more of their own research. So as marketers, we were required now all of a sudden to become more accountable for our campaign performance. As a result, our website became very important as a prospective buyer's initial introduction to our company. We started to invest in digital advertising. Data and metrics became very important, and data and metrics about our website became even more important. So this was something that I personally enjoyed. Being what I would consider a very analytical type of person, I was excited. But there were a lot of people around me that were less excited by this new world of data-driven marketing. But I saw this as an opportunity to get marketers excited about being accountable for their campaign performance, and that's basically why I'm here today. A little bit of background on myself. I started my career at several different technology companies, mostly in an online marketing type of role. I got introduced to marketing automation very early on and loved that so much that I joined a demand gen agency, and I helped customers with their marketing automation and CRM implementations. And then I became kind of obsessed about this funnel metrics and campaign attribution capability that I joined Full Circle. And so now I'm at Full Circle. I'm a senior business analyst on our customer success team. And so what I'm going to talk about today is specifically tracking your digital campaign performance. And I know Prash brought up UTM parameters, and that's where we're really going to focus on today. So we'll talk about how to bring those UTM parameters into Salesforce so that you can kind of track your digital efforts downstream and do some closed loop reporting on your opportunities. So what we're going to talk about first is just kind of an intro to UTM parameters. I'm sure most of you are familiar with them. And then we'll talk about how to bring them into Salesforce just using standard native functionality. And we'll talk about the gaps that leaves, because Salesforce, you can't track everything. And so we'll talk about how we might fill in those gaps with a product like ours. But first, one of my favorite quotes, it is a capital mistake to theorize before one has data. I think this is an important quote to kind of frame our conversation. Back in 2005, we made a lot of theories without data, and now we're kind of required to use the data to make our decisions. And so that will frame our discussion today. So just real quick, a little bit about UTM parameters. I'm sure most of you know what they are. They were invented by a company called Urchin. Urchin was acquired by Google, and UTM parameters are just a way to track referral links to your website, and that's why you see them everywhere. So here's a quick example of a landing page we're going to be using as an example throughout this presentation. In this case, we've got a schedule a demo form and 6 different ways someone might find themselves on this page. We're going to focus right now on this particular LinkedIn ad. This is what our LinkedIn ad link might look like. So we're going to kind of break this down. First, we're going to talk about UTM source. So UTM source is the source of your traffic. So it's going to be, if it's a newsletter, it'll be your newsletter. If it's a search engine, it's going to be, Google, Yahoo, etc. Social media outlet, it's going to be Twitter, LinkedIn, etc. And so in our example, our UTM source is LinkedIn. Next up is UTM medium, and this is the type of channel a visitor comes from. The way I like to think of it is it's the higher level bucket of your source. So it's the category of the source. Some marketers will get medium and source confused. Easy way to think of it is that medium is more of a high level category and source is more of the details. So in our example here, this is a cost per click ad. So our medium is CPC. Next parameter is UTM campaign. This is just simply the name of your campaign. So whether it's a specific promotion or strategic campaign, in our example, our campaign is just schedule a demo. The next two UTM parameters we're going to talk about are not going to be on every link to your site. They're usually, this one in particular is used in paid ads. So if you're on Google or a search engine and you type in a keyword and you click on one of those Google ads, the keyword might show up in the UTM term. So for example, if I were searching for campaign attribution, that might be what gets populated in the UTM term. The next parameter is UTM content, and the way I like to use this is to do some A/B testing or differentiate between links or ad sizes, for example. So you might have different ad sizes or different calls to action in an email. So in our example, we've got a banner ad 50 by 100. So now that you know a little bit about UTM parameters, let's talk about how we might get that data into Salesforce. So when someone clicks on an ad, how do we get that into Salesforce? before I get into the weeds, I want everyone to think about what's their favorite object in Salesforce. Um, my favorite object is campaign members, and I'm going to tell you why I love campaign members. And kind of to illustrate my point, we're going to talk about what your typical buyer's journey might look like. You know, you might acquire a lead from a trade show visit. They might download a case study or a white paper, attend a webinar, have a sales demo, download an ebook, and ultimately purchase your product. The reason I love campaign members is that all of these things can be campaign members. And so you can track the buyer's journey by creating campaign members in Salesforce. Okay, great. So going back to our UTM story, let's give a quick little example. So let's say that, you know, I've got my LinkedIn ad and someone clicks on that LinkedIn ad. They arrive on my schedule a demo landing page. One of the things Praj pointed out was populating some hidden fields on the landing page. So one great thing about Marketo is that you can pull the UTM parameter data into hidden form fields on your form, either through the URL parameters themselves, or if they arrive on your page and it's not a form page, you can cookie them, and then Marketo can read the cookie and pass it through the form when they submit the form. So that data gets into your marketing automation system, in your case Marketo, and then it gets pushed to Salesforce. With Marketo, you're not going to be able to get that UTM data directly onto the campaign member, which is ultimately where we would like it. Some other tools, you'll be able to do that. I know some people have some coded solutions that do that. But today we're going to talk about the pushing that data directly to the lead or contact is likely what you're doing now. And so what that looks like in Salesforce, and here's my example, is what you might have, and I'm sure many of you have set something similar to this up, is you've got your original UTM values, so how they first found out about you, and then every time they're doing something new, you're capturing their most recent UTM values. Then when this lead gets converted into an opportunity, you can pull that information and map it to the opportunity, so you can run opportunity reports and understand, you know, where that opportunity came from, what did they engage with right prior to the opportunity, all of that information. So if you're able to set something like this up, it's going to enable you to run some really interesting reports. So let's look at some sample reports. This report is just a straight up opportunities report in Salesforce. And what we can see here is which mediums are the best lead generators in terms of the resulting revenue downstream. So this is just sort of pivoting off the original UTM medium, how they found out about your company. And so here you can see, obviously, organic is our best UTM medium in this case. Another report you might run is another opportunities report, but instead, you know, this is pulling based on most recent UTM medium. So whereas original UTM medium tells you how the leads first found out about your company, most recent is going to tell us what they looked at before an opportunity is created. So this report is telling us what mediums are most successful at driving the lead towards the purchase. Finally, and this is more if you're able to get the UTM data directly onto the campaign member, you can run a report type in Salesforce called Campaigns with Influenced Opportunities. And here we can understand what sources influenced the most opportunities or opportunities with larger deal sizes. So while this information is really great and can really kind of help you determine what sources to invest in, you may have noticed that there are some gaps. And little background on myself here, I live in Portland, and this is the Burnside Bridge, and I just like to use this as an example of a gap. So let's talk about the gaps that we encounter in this the way that we're tracking this in native Salesforce. So there's a few things that we're missing. So one thing that we're missing is in this example, if you're in our examples, if you're not creating the opportunities on lead conversion or off of a contact, you're missing that link from the campaign member to the opportunity and from your UTM data to the opportunity. And so we're not able to get reporting at the UTM level if you're not adding contact roles to your opportunities. So that's one thing that's missing. So if your sales reps aren't always adding contacts, it's definitely something I encourage they start doing, but I know that's easier said than done. Another example of a gap is if we're not able to get that data onto the campaign member, we're able to track the original, we're able to track the most recent thing they did, but what about everything in between? I'm sure there are things that Joe here engaged with in between the blog post and the monthly newsletter, but we don't know what it is because we're overwriting the data each time. The third gap is in the attribution side of things. So this is a influence report in native Salesforce. And what you'll notice is that, these opportunities have several different campaigns that are influencing it, but we're not able to break down that opportunity amount across all the touches. And so while we can get an idea of volume and the amount of opportunities that, the overall amount, we're not able to break out this $11,000 across, all of these touch points. So in summary, we've got three different gaps: a process misalignment where we're not always adding contacts to opportunities, our data is being overwritten, every time there's a new campaign, and we're not able to attribute everything across all the touches. So I don't want to bum you out because, as my friend Charles Babbage once said, errors using inadequate data are much less than using no data at all. I still think there is value in tracking the original and most recent. There are some things you can do to definitely encourage your sales reps to add contacts to opportunities. So while you might not have the entire picture, you at least have some idea. But if you're like me, you want to close the gaps, right? So we're going to talk about how we might close the gaps that we have with the native methods. So first, let's talk about that process misalignment gap. How do we ensure that contacts are on opportunities, or how do we ensure that we're able to track the influence of our digital campaigns on opportunities without contact roles? Well, there are two things that Full Circle provides. One is we have this concept of opportunity gatekeeper. So opportunity gatekeeper is something that comes within our main product. It's also a separate product, but the main purpose of opportunity gatekeeper is that when someone clicks on new opportunity from an account, which would normally not add a contact to an opportunity, they're going to get a lovely pop-up that says, hey, you gotta create the opportunity from a contact so we know who you're talking to at the account for the opportunity. So that's one way we can combat that process misalignment. Another way, and I'll get into this a little bit later, is we're able to do what we call account-based attribution. And what we mean by that is if you have an opportunity and it doesn't have contact roles on it, what we can do is we can look to the related account and look at all the contacts at that related account and give credit to those campaign members on those contacts. And so if you're an organization that really can't enforce that your reps are adding all the influencers to the opportunity, running an account-based model can reach up to the account and give credit to those other touches that you might not get otherwise. So great, we've solved the process misalignment issue. What about the data overwrite issue? How do we get, especially with Marketo where we can't write directly to the campaign member, how do we get that data onto the campaign member so that we're not missing all those touches in between? I'm going to get a little bit technical, but in our product, we've got what we call this sync field configuration. And what the sync field configuration does is whenever a campaign member is created, we're able to sync some data that exists on the lead or on the contact and write it to the campaign member. And then immediately after it's written to the campaign member, we can clear it on the lead or contact. And then you might ask, hey, so why would I want to clear it on the lead or contact? Well, the next campaign that lead engages with might not be a digital campaign. It might be an offline campaign or a campaign that wouldn't have UTM data associated with it. So that's why we want to clear it, so that each campaign member has the right UTM parameters associated with it. The next thing, and this is even more technical, but I'll kind of gloss over this a little bit. The way that we calculate influence in Full Circle is a campaign member might be influencing multiple opportunities. So we're going to create a separate custom object called campaign influence detail for every campaign member that influences an opportunity. And in Salesforce, we can't create a lookup relationship to a campaign member, so we can sync our UTM data from the campaign member to this custom object, also using our sync field configuration. So ultimately, you then get all of your UTM data onto your campaign, onto your influence object, and you're able to do all that multi-touch attribution reporting based on UTMs. Finally, how do we ensure that we're not giving the full credit of all of our opportunity to every single touch that influenced our opportunity? Well, this is where we can run multiple influence models. And what I'm showing you here is just an example opportunity, and we've got 3 different models running against it. And so you can kind of see that we've got a $150,000 opportunity. Depending on what model I'm running, depending on what model I'm running, each campaign is going to get a different amount of credit because we're giving some different weights here. In my first column, I've got an account even spread model, so that's where I'm giving an even amount of credit to all touches on contacts at the account. The middle column is giving an even amount of credit to just the contact roles on the opportunity. And then the last one is giving extra credit to first, primary, and last touch. So this is really the holy grail of where we want to get with the data. So what Salesforce was doing back in the earlier side was giving the total opportunity amount to each influential campaign. So each of these campaigns would get $150,000 of credit. Here we're splitting it out across all the influential campaigns. Great thing about this too is that you can now kind of compare models against each other. If you want to run just an opportunity focused model, you can do that. Compare it against a wider spread account-based model. It's very flexible. So what are some of the sample reports we can create now that we have this data? I'm just going to show you a few examples. It's very, very flexible, so there's many different ways that you could pivot on this data. This report helps us understand for each campaign what mediums are most successful across our 3 different attribution models. So if we're promoting this white paper on social and organic and in email, we want to know where should we promote this? Where should we promote this white paper? Because some channels might be more effective than others. Another example is, this is the same type of report, but instead of looking at the campaign level, we're looking at influence by opportunity. So this can be particularly helpful when looking at target accounts. So if you're targeting a specific account, you want to see what influenced a closed won opportunity at a target account, so you can kind of rinse and repeat. This kind of report might be helpful. So finally, this report, I just want to let you know that we're not just limited in terms of the amount that is influenced. We can also look at things like velocity and conversion. So velocity in this context will tell you if certain sources helped accelerate a deal. Conversion will tell you if certain sources generally result in closed-won deals. So the velocity in this context is the average number of days between the create date and the close date of the opportunity. Influence and conversion in this context is the total number of closed-won opportunities the source influenced divided by the total number of closed opportunities the source influenced. So those are a few sample reports that you could get once you've got this data in the right place. So what are the key takeaways today? First is how do you currently use UTM parameters today? If you're in digital marketing or not in digital marketing, make sure that you are using them and tracking them consistently. Secondly, once you've set them up, bring the data into Salesforce to get that closed loop reporting on all your campaigns. Finally, if you're like me and you want to close those gaps, perhaps schedule a demo with us. You don't have to memorize this URL. I just wanted to give an example of how I might use UTM parameters to track whether any of you would result in a closed-won opportunity. So that's all I have today, and I hope you learned a little something, and I was very excited to present to you.
Great, thank you so much, Allison. That was amazing. And we're going to switch gears here and turn it over to Ayanna Nickerson, who has some information to share with us from Marketo. So Ayanna, I'm turning it over to you.
Yes. Good morning. Can you see my screen okay?
It's coming up. There it is. Great. Yeah, so Ayanna's joining us. She's the Certification Program Manager at Marketo and leads the certification efforts for Marketo University. And we're super excited to have her share today.
All right. Awesome. I hope you're seeing the right view. I am not as technically savvy as my colleagues that were just on the call, but I got some good information for you.
That's
all
great.
Right.
Yeah, actually, I think I'm seeing everything. So maybe just click the from beginning in the top left. Maybe we can try it that way.
Okay, I'm trying it. It's just not working for me. I have no clue why. Okay. Hold on. Well, let me just go get started because I know I don't have a lot of time. So
yeah, that's great.
Okay, sorry about this, everyone.
No, we can see everything. It's fine.
Okay, great. Well, let me go on and just talk to you about Marketo certification. Right now, there are two programs that we have for you to engage in, and I'm sure you've heard or hope you've heard of the Marketo Certified Expert (MCE). And then we have these Marketo specializations. Those are newer than the MCE, but there are some benefits to both of these programs. And some of the benefits are the industry recognition. It's a great opportunity for career advancement. It really gives an opportunity for you to validate and verify that you do have Marketo expertise, not only in the foundation of Marketo, but also in specialized areas of Marketo. What I really want to tell you guys is about this new program that we have, the Marketo Certified Associate. It's in development right now. We're excited, very excited about this program. This is kind of taking a step back from what we already have and looking at a more entry-level designation. And it's focusing on marketing automation, and some hands-on experience in Marketo. But if you look at the amount of experience that we're asking an individual to have to qualify for this certification, it's only 3 to 6 months, as opposed to the 1 to 2 years for the Marketo Certified Expert exam. And then we are asking for a minimum of 3 months of hands-on experience and knowledge about using, doing products and using Marketo. And then of course, the important part of this is it's going to be available in Q3 of 2018. That's this year. So just best to believe that I am working very hard on getting this program completed. And what I included here is a table where you can see some of the content areas that will be addressed in this exam. So like I said, we're very excited to have this program, to be able to offer it to the industry, because we truly believe in the marketer. We want to train an industry to be fearless marketers in marketing automation, and of course, having knowledge in Marketo. All right, so I heard that there's this thing coming up called Summit. It's going to be in San Francisco, April 29th through May 2nd. All right. So what do we have to do to get prepared if you're going to Summit? There's just a few things that you need to know about the certification. I was talking to you about the MCE, what it validates. Here are the recommended prerequisites that you have. They're not required, but they are recommended for you to be successful when you're taking this exam. And then here's the exam format. This is a multiple choice exam. You sit at a computer, you have 75 questions, you have 90 minutes to take it. You have to get a 70 to pass. All right, simple as that. The 70% to pass, that's what you need. And again, here are the exam topics that are going to be on the exam. This is what you need to know. This is what you need to be proficient in order to pass the exam. This year's Summit, we will be offering these specialization exams. Look how many there are. 11 of them. We have 11 specializations. And this is a good way to showcase the depth of knowledge that you have in an area of Marketo. These will be offered at Summit as well. And just keep in mind that the only way that you can take the specializations, this is a requirement, you have to have your MCE first. Okay. To take the specialization, you have to have your MCE. Okay. Similar exam format, but this one is a lot less questions. You only have 60 minutes, 30 questions. You have to get a 75% in order to pass these specializations. And if you take it online, these are not proctored as opposed to the MCE. They are proctored. Someone is literally looking at you through a webcam just to make sure that you don't cheat. All right. So, how do we get prepared at Summit for these exams? Well, there's an obvious one, University Day. You can attend University Day. These are links to the actual website. We have a website where you can just register for University Day if you don't want to go to the entire summit. So we are very committed to bringing some education to you guys at this special, the Fearless Marketer Summit this year. These are the tracks for University Day. There's a beginner, intermediate, and an advanced track. And these are some of the topics and sessions that will be going on, and what the recommendations from Marketo University would be for you to register for these different tracks. So register now if you haven't done so already. University Day is always a lot of fun, a lot of information going on. We even have some courses for the MCE prep course being offered throughout Summit. So register for that one as well. This is some exciting information that I wanted to give to the mugs this year. We have a Marketo self-study group kit. It is really, really nice. It talks about how to manage a study group, like what are your responsibilities as a study group leader. It also goes through the topic areas that I showed you before and provides explanations. And it also gives you additional references and links to those references so that you can do some in-depth studying and know where to go to get the information that you're going to need to be successful on the exam. It also includes a study kit, a checklist, and some sample questions. We're so excited about this and being able to offer it to you. We're going to have it available next week. We're going to send it out to the mug leaders, and they'll be able to provide it to to their folks upon request. So we're super duper excited about this, and we'll be talking about it more as time progresses after Summit as well. So I mentioned that there are some preparation resources. Here's a list of them with some links. You know, those specializations I talked about, I just want to make mention that we have something called adoption courses. They're 3-hour courses, and they pretty much cover all of the specializations. So you can take an adoption course and then prepare to take the specialization exam and demonstrate your proficiency in that area of expertise. All right. Now, if you want to get certified at Summit, this is what you have to do. Come and see me. I'll be there. Room 2000. That's where I was last year. I'll be there this year too. So I'm giving big shout outs. I'm giving hugs. I'm giving pictures. We're doing a lot of things once you get certified. So we'll have, again, with MCE and specializations will be available. The exam lab is open from 8 to 5. Every day. It's open seating, so you don't have to schedule anything, and you can register now to take the exams. Come to Summit with no certification, leave a fearless marketer and certified. Not certifiable, just certified. Now, if you want to take it outside of Summit, you have too much going on at Summit, you can still take it online, or you can go to one of our testing centers, and this is how you would do that. All right. I hope I didn't give anybody a whirlwind. Sorry for the technical glitch with my PowerPoint presentation, but if you have any more questions, comments, just leave out the part about my PowerPoint not working. Send it to me. Certification@marketo.com. You can also visit our website, Marketo/certification. We have a lot of information on that website, believe it or not. And if you follow that link, it'll be easy to find. So thank you, everyone. Super excited. Even if you're not getting certified at Summit, come and see me. I love meeting peeps from LA. All right. Thank you.
Great. Thank you so much, Ayana. I'm sorry I was on mute most time because I was cracking up. So I can't wait to come see you at Summit. So thanks for sharing all of that. I know we're getting super close to the end here, and I wanted to just pull it back for a quick second and see if we have time for a question or two. And as I mentioned, if there's any we don't get to, then we can try to follow up online afterwards. And so, Allison, I don't know if you want to jump off mute, but I have one question that came in to you from Dab. And the comment is, I like how you're storing UTM values on the lead record. Do you have the Google UTM values also on the campaign member object too? And do you have these files on contact records too?
Yeah, so good question. In terms of getting them on the campaign member, one thing with Marketo, because Marketo you can write to leads and contacts and you can create campaign members, but right now you can't populate custom fields on campaign members. So we have a way within our product to snapshot, what was in the lead field at the time the campaign member was created. That was my sync field configuration slide. In terms of adding them to contacts, yes, my screenshot only showed a lead, but yes, you would also do the same thing on contacts. So adding original and most recent as well.
Okay, great. And maybe up in the air for either one of you, it's a process question from Daryl. How do you get people to keep standard campaigns? Sounds like he runs into the problem where different channels use different campaign UTMs, which splits the reporting.
I can take a stab at that. So it sounds like you have kind of inconsistent tagging of your UTM parameters. That's one thing that is really important to nail down, so that one person might be using PPC, another person's using CPC, and you want to be able to group on both. There are some tools that can help, like URL builder tools that can help standardize across your organization. Or I've even seen some people do even as rudimentary as like a Google sheet where you've got, your list of values that your users can use. But yeah, designing a process around that is really important.
Okay, great. Thank you. Yeah, I think we'll just cover those couple questions now. If there's other ones that anyone has, feel free to still send those in the next couple minutes, and we'll try to take care of those offline. And I just really want to thank our speakers today. Thank you, Praj. Thank you, Allison. Thank you, Ayana. I know Allison set that great foundation covering this topic that we've all struggled with in one way or another. So definitely offers some clarity on solutions. And Praj set the stage so well diving into it. And Ayana closed with our latest and greatest from Marketo's certification program. So thank you all, and thanks to everybody for attending. Thanks for being patient. I know we're running a few minutes over. We had so much valuable stuff to share. I really hope that you enjoyed it. And if you are, not a member yet of the LA Mug, then we would love if you would join. We'd like to continue putting out some great materials like today. We love listening to suggestions. If you have any suggested topics, we have a lot of connections, can find great experience and depth of knowledge in a variety of topics. So please feel free to send those my way, and you can get a hold of me here. And also, don't forget to watch for promotions of upcoming events. Daryl and I will be putting the word out for a couple chances to meet up at Summit. So fun to meet up in person, and it's a little more relaxed and free, and we'd like to connect with other user groups in the surrounding Southern California area. And so please watch for our follow-up recording from today's event as well. So on behalf of the user group, and we hope you have a great rest of the day. Thanks again.